Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
I'm recording now.
Okay.
Alright, yep, it's recording now. Alright.
All right. I'll do the Viewers Anonymous thing this time.
Okay. What's going on? I am Scoots Brunson.
And I am S. Foster, and this is Viewers Anonymous, man. What's good with you?
Man, nothing much, man. I've been, going through these last 2 days, man, watching this show that we about to talk about thanks to you, man. I've been doing a little Google research here and there, trying to figure out who is who and what's what. This might be one of the best documentaries I've watched in since the quarantine. Tiger King was the one, but I think this could outdo Tiger King. This is on some how to make a murderer type shit, bro.
Oh yeah, man. Look, it was one of those things I fell upon, one day, spoke to you about it, and I was like, yo, like I said earlier, like, man, if I would have been at home when I watched it, I would have did a 28 minutes or less immediately, dude. Because that's how intrigued I was. I was very intrigued from the very beginning. But man, I hope you don't mind, before we get started, man, obviously you see I got the Black Panther shirt on.
For sure, man.
Man, we lost actually a South Carolina legend, man. He's from Anderson, South Carolina, man. Went to T.L. Hamlin. As a matter of fact, same high school my girl went to, but, there's an age gap that they didn't go to school together or anything. But, it's going around that there's been a petition being signed to take down a Confederate statue in Anderson and replace it with him. So hopefully they get enough signatures to do that. But man, when I think about Chadwick Boseman, man, like, other than being resilient, dude, like, he was one of those type of actors that, and I'm not just saying this shit to say it, but like, he's one of the type dudes. He had the type of career that I want to have, and what I mean by that was, like, he played Jackie Robinson. You know what I'm saying? He played Floyd Little. A lot of people our age wouldn't remember Floyd Little, but if you watch The Express, it was about Ernie Davis and Jim Brown, because they had a run of three great running backs. They had Jim Brown, then Ernie Davis. Ernie Davis won he was the first black person to win the Heisman Trophy, and then Floyd Little came after him. He played Floyd Little. He played Thurgood Marshall, who become the first black Supreme Court person.
Supreme Court Justice,
Yes, Supreme Court Justice. And then he played, James Brown. And so he was able to take a lot of black figures from our past and play them. And like he didn't just do bullshit. Like, now he did some up-to-date shit, and obviously Black Panther. But like, he told a story one time how his first role that he got, it was on a soap opera, and he was basically a black guy on drugs that was, violent, pulled a gun on this white woman and all this type stuff. And he said something to me. He said he did 3 episodes. He said, but after the second one, he said that why the person that I'm playing, why he got to be violent, why he got to be on drugs and all this type stuff. So I think he expressed his feelings of not wanting to be stereotyped. And he said after the 3rd episode, they let him go. And he was able to do the type of roles that he wanted to do. Because if you think about his career, he didn't play anything like gangster or anything that was, not necessarily. He played one movie, but he was revenging the death of his sister. Like, it was called
The King or something.
Message from the King or something like that.
He was supposed to be from South Africa.
Yeah. So like, but I consider that different because he was like, I mean, I'm not saying go out and be a vigilante, but it's better to be a vigilante than to just be out killing
Kill
people
him,
for no reason.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So man, I just want to say, man, rest in peace to him. This is a show that's about television and film. So I mean, also rest in peace to Cliff Robinson too. I mean,
Yep.
he other than Iverson, he was really my favorite number 3, man. I don't know what it was about Cliff Robinson. I thought he was, to me, he was, other than Damian Lillard, I thought Clyde Drexler was cool, but I had just had something for Cliff Robinson. I just always thought he was a good player. But man, I just
He was
wanted
a
to
solid guy, man. He was definitely a solid player.
yeah, but man, I just wanted to, give a rest in peace, rest in power to T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, man. I think that what's crazy, man, is that you speak of his resilience, and you know what I'm saying. They said he had a 4-year battle with colon cancer, and nobody knew. You know what I'm saying.
yep.
You really couldn't even tell. You know, he was. You talk about his career. His career was probably one of the best careers you can have. He was blessed by Denzel Washington to, what I'm saying, get into acting and everything like that to even begin with. And then finally, the first time I ever seen him was on the Jackie Robinson movie. And then, what I'm saying, he played Jackie Robinson, and then, he was he did his thing in The Express, which was a great movie. Of course I had to watch that because of Jim Brown. And that's just the story of Ernie Davis, who he died from
Leukemia, wasn't it?
leukemia. Yeah, I don't know why I was about to say multiple sclerosis, but it was leukemia. Um, so that was a very powerful movie in that. But he also played James Brown, and I thought that was one of his best roles to date. I think he did a great job portraying James Brown, especially with all of the wild things and all of the stories that we hear about James Brown. So having to replay some of those things, and then the relationship that he had with his best friend in that movie too as well was just like, man, you could just really see this dude, coming to his his greatness. And then, we find out that he's, the man, King T'Challa. And then, the first time we see him is on Civil War, Captain
Mm-hmm.
America. And, he's beating the shit out of the Winter Soldier. And it's like the Winter Soldier got this, this strong metal arm, and he's doing his best to keep up with him. But, all you see is dude in a black jacket. And we find out he's the son of a king. And, he tearing dude up. So then, it comes to one of the greatest moments in movie history, especially for black people, was the Black Panther movie. You know what I'm saying? That was one of our proudest moments that we could have as a people, because finally we had something that we could all look to and be happy about. It was an all black cast. Well, not all black cast, but it was a majority black cast. We had a black director, Ryan Coogler. You know what I'm saying? The soundtrack was done by Kendrick Lamar. I mean, like, it ingratiated everything about what the culture was from our history, you know what I'm saying, from the past and then to our future and then to the present that we in right now. So, to see him take that mantle of being T'Challa, because once they're in those roles, that's who they damn near become. Like, look at Robert Downey Jr. This man is Iron Man. From
Yeah.
every Iron Man that you see now on, it resembles Robert Downey Jr. From the facial cut, you know what I'm saying, to the hairdo. Every Thor looks like Chris Hemsworth. You know what I'm saying? So every Captain America looks like Chris Evans, but Chris Evans looked like every white man too, so that's a little bit different. But you know what I'm saying? Mark Ruffalo, every Hulk looked like Mark Ruffalo when he turned back to Bruce Banner. So to have T'Challa, look like Chadwick Boseman is something that I think is going to be, you know what I'm saying, it is what it is, man. I remember he was telling the story about how I think he was on the Breakfast Club, and Charlamagne had asked him, was he tired of doing the Wakanda Forever sign? and they was laughing about that. And it's just like, it just lets you know, man, that even though he's not here with us physically, that it's, he'll never be forgotten, man. He'll always be a legend to us because, what I'm saying, he's the king. He's the superhero that we all wanted. So, what I'm saying? Yeah, definitely, man. Rest in power to Chadwick Boseman, man.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to, to get that off the chest, man. 2020 has been wild, man.
Yeah, it's
we
crazy.
We lost a lot of legends, man. And even though his career, if you really think about it, 12 years maybe, to have like that run, like you said, man, he has to be considered one of the best. Like he was really becoming to be the next Denzel Washington. But the great thing about that is Denzel Washington has a son that's pretty good at this shit too.
Yeah.
Look, he could be. I wouldn't be mad if he become the next Black Panther. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know, man. I think his son is his son has a very different path. I know he did his thing in Black Klansman. Definitely, that's my first time actually seeing him act.
You didn't see him in Ballers?
Nope, I never got a chance to watch Ballers.
Oh man, nah, he did really good in Ballers, man. I seen him in Ballers, Black Klansman. He did another joint that I seen. I can't think of the name of it, but I'm excited to see this Tenet, man. It's finally gonna come out.
That's the new. That's the joint from
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, yeah.
Yeah, that's on its way. So yeah, man. And like I say, to really think about it, dude, like he did Civil War, Marshall, both of the Avenger movies.
He was in Marshall.
Message to Kingsman, huh?
He was in Marshall.
Yeah, Thurgood Marshall.
Oh, I'm thinking of the fucking
you thinking of We Are Marshall?
Yeah.
Yeah, you thinking of that? Nah, I'm talking about.
Hold on, wait. He was in Marshall.
Nah, they just called it. Yeah, they just called it Marshall, dude. And that movie that we mentioned, from the King.
Yeah, Message from the King.
He was crazy during all of that.
He was crazy in that though.
He was.
Wild. He did a hell of a job to be sick.
And to do all of those movies, man, and to be battling, they was like he was doing treatments when they wasn't filming, and to be that dedicated, and you know what I'm saying, to do that. Now, it's also a situation where he's probably setting his family up, because he's the breadwinner, and like Uncle Washington said, when you're an actor, you basically unemployed, so you don't really have health insurance like that.
Work. Yeah.
So he was like, he had to pay for those treatments, out of pocket. So, you got to also consider that. And I want to give a huge shout out to his team, his family, because nobody said nothing, dude. That's, how much money people will sell people out for. And nobody said nothing for 4 years. Nobody said nothing. Dude, that's a huge shout out to his people and his family and agents and all those people to not say nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I know some people, because even when I looked at him, you could tell, like, it's like, man, it's like he getting a little thin. You know what I'm saying? But, I was like,
It might have been, I thought it was going for a movie role. Because when he was on the shop, he looked a little bit smaller on the shop. So I thought that was, what I'm saying, the movie role thing. But the one good thing about it, man, is, what I'm saying, since we shouting people out, shout out to Marvel. You know what I'm saying? They are they made one of the most I'm trying to think of the proper word to use. I guess you could say heartfelt. They made one of the most heartfelt posts, and they basically just, what I'm saying, press runs about, what I'm saying, everything that had happened. When you have a company like that who they take the time out of their day to really show love to, what I'm saying, any one of the actors. It don't matter who it was, but just any one of the actors. Like we've seen people, you know what I'm saying, lose their lives in the midst of being an iconic character. You know what I'm saying? Like when Heath Ledger died, you know, you really didn't hear DC coming out and doing anything or saying anything special about Heath Ledger. But
That's
for
true.
Marvel to take the time out of their day and really, you know, make a post about him and even though it's something small and minute and it probably, you know what I'm saying, ain't too much or nothing, but you gotta think about it like he made a lot of money with Marvel, you know what I'm saying? Especially being the Black Panther. He was in what, 4 or 5 movies?
Uh, th- the
He was
two
in
two
Civil
Avengers,
War
Civil War, and Black Panther 4.
4. And he was okay, so yeah, he was in like 4 or 5 movies because he was slated to be in Black Panther 2. So,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? He did, even though it don't seem like a lot, but he did a lot in the Marvel universe. You know what I'm saying? As far as just showing up in certain scenes, even when he was in certain scenes just being himself, you know what I'm saying? You could tell he kind of took the scene over only because we knew who he was. And even when we didn't know who he was yet, we still knew who he was because, you know what I'm saying, we was hype about him being in the movie. And so, you know what I'm saying? But shout out to Marvel, man, because they gave him an opportunity that a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, I'm sure was wanting. You know, like if you think about if you think about damn, why is his name blanking me? Lucius Lyon. What the fuck is that nigga name, man? Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah, Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard is known more for Lucius Lyon than he is being known for Rhodey in the first Captain America. People don't even know that Terrence Howard was Rhodey in Captain America 1.
Yeah.
I mean, not Captain America 1, Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 1, yep.
And then he fucked that up, and then they gave it to
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, yeah. They gave it to Don Cheadle. So look how Don Cheadle has taken that and grew from that. Don Cheadle has one of the he got a show. I think he got a show on Showtime too, don't he? Like Black Monday or something like that.
Black Monday and Lie to Me.
See,
Not
that's
Lie
what
to
I'm
Me.
saying.
Yeah, Lie to Me.
So that's what I'm saying. Like he got some, you know what I'm saying? He's getting work just off of being in and being a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So just imagine how far that would have went for Chadwick Boseman had he still been here. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure they was in the process of recording and filming Black Panther 2. You know what I'm saying? So I know this is supposed to be about the documentary, but I think that we on a great, you know what I'm saying, we on a great topic right now. But I just want to get you real quick, what do you think, you know what I'm saying, had we not lost him, what do you think his trajectory would have been after this whole COVID thing would have broke?
Honestly, man, I remember because being the type of people that we are as far as being huge in the cinema, there's always that who's the next such and such. Like, yeah. I remember hearing Charlotte on the Bluff supposed to have been like the next Harrison Ford. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. You know, because when you think about Harrison Ford, you know, he got Star Wars, he got the Indiana Jones, you know, type thing. And I think
Shia had Transformers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he had Transformers, and like he was, and not that he still can't, because he's gonna be his own person, but you know what I'm saying. But as far as like, you know, it's all about getting that franchise. You know what I'm saying? And he got his franchise with Black Panther. In the way that Marvel is going, everybody is intersecting. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of Endgame, Thor was going off with the Galaxy of the Guardians. You know what I'm saying? Spider-Man, Iron Man was in all his movies. So it's like everybody was interchanging. So he was going to be Black Panther for a while. Even if it wasn't a Black Panther movie, it could have been It could have been anything. It could have been the next Ant-Man. You know, he could have been
Mm-hmm.
helping him with something. So his trajectory was really high, and I think that with him playing the type of roles that he played, like I think that there would have been more, you know, historical pictures that he would have chosen to do. You know, no telling who else he would have played, but he always played like great people. But I think that I say all that to say it seems like he was gonna be like that next Denzel Washington. Now the difference with Denzel Washington is the fact that Denzel Washington don't have a franchise, but he got one recently with the Equalizer.
Yeah.
And he even said that he didn't really do franchise because he was like he never liked doing the same movie twice. But he said that he saw the role and he was like he never done it before, so well he saw the script and so he done it again. Well, the second one. But
yeah,
I think that as far as, you know, a black actor, like, you know, because you look at him and even Michael B. Jordan, you know what I'm saying? Because if that goes the way it's supposed to go, you know, his, you know, franchise is Creed.
Yeah.
You know, so he already got 2 in the books. And the way Rocky made it seem like at the end of that fight, like he was like, sit down. I felt like it was a passing of the torch because he was like, it's your time. Because he wanted Rocky to come up to the ring and Rocky stayed back. And he was like, this is your time. And I felt like that was Sylvester Stallone being behind the camera and not in front of turning
I ain't
it
gonna
over
lie,
to
man.
Michael B. Jordan.
I don't want to hate on my man Michael B. Jordan, man. You know what I'm saying? I always want my man to get that bag, man. But yeah, it's time for Creed to take a nap, man. No more Creed, no more Rocky movies. You know what I'm saying? Because they not really about too much of nothing, man.
I thought the second one was good. Cause I like when you're able to tie in a story, like the backstory. Like it might be something just as simple as. Well, I don't think it was that simple. I mean, the dude father kills his dad doing the same thing that he does, and then they fight each other. But also, you bring in that story of Drago losing everything because he lost a fight, and his wife and the dude mom goes off, and then she comes back in the picture because he now got a glow up, and then when he start losing, she leaves again. So I felt like a lot of that.
And that's the only way Creed beat him. Creed was gonna get his ass whooped if his mama was staying there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we took it somewhere else, but the point I'm saying, I think that he had the trajectory of being like that next Denzel Washington.
I agree.
Because I would say Will, but what happened with Will, I don't think box office makes everything, and I think that sometimes Will reached, but it seemed like Will got. Like, I don't think Denzel Washington looks at a movie as like, it's just going to be big in box office. I think Will Smith started doing that.
I think that Will does that to cover up for his acting. Because Will can act, don't get me wrong, but he's not as good as an actor as a Denzel Washington or Larry Fishburne or somebody like that. So for him to be in those big movies and for him to have those roles like with Bad Boys, if you really watch those movies, he's never really like the guy in those roles. He's usually the guy that plays like the sidekick to the guy. You know what I'm saying? Like in Bad Boys, he was good, but Marcus was really the focus point of that movie. You know what I'm saying? Everything really centered around Marcus's life. Because, like, even if you watch Bad Boys, you really don't know too much about Mike Lowry. You know enough, but you don't know too much. We know everything about Marcus.
Well, the third one they did, and I don't know if that had to do with Will being a producer on the show.
Exactly, but that goes to show you just for 3 movies. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the third movie, when the franchise is completely done and it's all said and done, and they leaving it on the cliffhanger on whether or not we may or may not have a new Bad Boys, because now we find out that we found out that Mike got a son. You know what I'm saying? That's all we know. We just know that he had this whole. It really wasn't even a secret. It was this big shocking surprise that he had a son. Now after all these movies, we don't know nothing about him going to certain places that they talking about in the movie. They just bringing it up in the third one. But to me, I feel like his acting isn't up to par with, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, a Denzel or a Larry Fishburne or even a Wesley Snipes for that matter. Like just having people who can have those, who have been in those big roles, who have played in those box office movies. You know, when you got those guys who can pretty much just be in a movie and make the movie good, you don't really need the box office. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really have to worry about the box office. I think that, you know what I'm saying, Michael B. Jordan is one of those guys who will eventually be in that same vein of making the movie good. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still got some time to go, but he'll be in that arena of whatever he's in is going to be good, and his character is going to be, you know what I'm saying, the focus point of the movie. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why Chadwick Boseman was so good, was because every movie that he was in, regardless if it was the historical piece, regardless if it was an action piece, you know what I'm saying, he still was the man in the movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you even go watch Black Panther, he's not really even in Black Panther that long. If you put all his scenes together, he's not really even in that movie that long. The movie is more so focused on Wakanda. You know what I'm saying? Like the all the separate characters in Wakanda. You know, we get introduced to Shuri, and we get introduced to the Magi. We get introduced to, I think that's how you say it, but we get introduced to all the Queen, like all these different, you know what I'm saying, people. We get introduced to Killmonger, you know what I'm saying? And then you realize that every time he comes on screen, he takes over every scene that he's in. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if he was still here, you are completely right. Like, he would be in that vein of Denzel and Larry Fishburne and all them, because he just had the talent to be able to do that.
Yes, sir, man. Hey, rest in peace to him, man. It sucks that we keep losing legends, man. But
yeah,
you know but I think that's also a testament of our age. To be honest with you, man, I think that, you know, when we get older, man, you start to see the shit that your parents was talking about. You know, like, oh man, I remember when we lost this person, we lost that person, and it's like you getting older and you start to experience that shit. Like, man, we lost Kobe, we lost, you know, Chadwick, you know, we lost this person. It's like damn, like people falling like flies, and it's like, I think that's a testament to age, and that's why I say age is a blessing, man. So you know, make it to 35, I am surely appreciative. But man, so rest in peace to him, rest in power to him. But man, like, but to get into it, man, I was chilling at my girl crib, and she was doing her friend's hair. So I was like, man, you know, I'm channel surfing, you know what I'm saying, looking through the stuff, and I see Outcry. So I read the description, I'm like, all right, you know, let me give this a shot. So, man, I get to watching it, man, and basically what I saw, man, I saw a kid who was, you know, star defensive player on his team, had a great work ethic. His name was Greg Kelly. He had just committed to go to UTSA, D1 school down in Texas. You know, he was on his way, man. But unfortunately, his parents, his dad had suffered a stroke. His mom was recovering from a brain tumor. So he ended up staying with the McCarthy family, which had a guy that was on his football team. He was, you know, his name was Jonathan McCarthy, and like they took him in while his parents was going through their health problems. And then his whole life took a turn. He was accused of sexually assaulting a 4-year-old kid. And the more and more I watched it, man, the more and more you see that this kid was railroaded, man.
Man, railroaded is an understatement, bro. To see, you know what I'm saying, to see in the beginning how, you know, like you said, he was on his way to playing D1 football, and to see how good he was, like the highlights they was just showing, man, like he seemed as if like he was a star athlete, you know what I'm saying? He seemed as if like he was going on to eventually play in the league and, you know what I'm saying, be one of those guys that was coming from you know, one of those homegrown products of Texas and to soon be, you know what I'm saying, one of those Texas greats. Um I think that watching this documentary is it's frustrating. It frustrated the shit out of me, honestly, because it's not it's not one of those documentaries that kind of leave you in like suspense after every episode. Um, it gets straight to the point. In every episode, it's straight to the point. And this was clear cut, you know, straight to the bullseye to show you how serious it was about them thinking that this guy, like you said, was railroaded. And you know, for the accusations to even happen, um, which to me, that's why I had got confused too, because I was just like, you know what I'm saying, like watching the first episode, it was like, damn, where did these accusations even come from? Like, and then, you know, they interviewed a little kid that was that had said that it had happened, and you know, they asking him certain questions about everything, and it's like for a 4-year-old to speak that way, and for a 4-year-old to be saying the things that he was saying, to me, I felt like he was being coached, or he had been coached.
And you also got to mention, like, now when we're talking about victim one, the one he actually got charged for,
Yeah.
like the lady interviewing him starts out by saying, "What does telling the truth mean?" And he says right off the jump, he says, "With Greg." He don't answer
Yeah.
the question. He just say, "With Greg." So she asked him again, and then the kid say, "People, I'm not lying here." The kid said, "I'm supposed to tell the truth, but I can't tell it." Like
Right.
that tells you right there, like someone told me to say something, and I'm saying basically what someone told me to say. And to say the words that you said by being coached, like he says, he put his pee-pee in my mouth.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, like, you know, when you hear a kid say that, like, yeah, it's very disturbing. And it's like, you know, you don't think that a kid would say that, but I'm thinking what you mean by, well, this is my definition of him being coached, is the fact that I think something happened to him, but they got the wrong person. And I think that the other guy was the one who really did it, and they actually look similar. I think that the person that did it, will get more into him. He was someone who looked up to Greg. He wanted to be like Greg, and it's like when you looking up to someone, you know what I'm saying? You start to. He had his hair cut like him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He started hanging around him, being around the type of people. Like he never would have been around these type of people if it wasn't for Greg. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't like
was trying to get his girl.
Yeah, did that too. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens is jealousy ends up happening because it's like, why he get the good girl? Why he getting all the scholarships? Why he gets all of this? So it's like that resentment starts to build up. And not only does resentment build up, he already has something going on with him that we could get more into later on. But to know a little bit more about like what that county was dealing with and all that type stuff, like, so back in 1987, and this happened in Williamson County in Texas, and they had a history. There was a guy, his name was Michael Morton. It made 60 Minutes and everything. It was a big story where a guy was accused of killing his wife. He says that, he didn't do it. Then this DA guy, the new DA guy, comes in and was like, we gonna do, like, they wanted to do DNA testing, and the DA guy, John Bradley, says that he won't do DNA unless he admits of killing his wife. And then you get to thinking, like, what kind of fucked up shit is that? Why are you gonna tell me to admit that I killed my wife, and then you're gonna check the DNA to see if I can get off? Like, it don't make sense. So this county already has a bad history of putting people behind bars that didn't do shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so many different aspects of this, of this whole story that, either it's gonna make you scratch your head or it's gonna make you look at the screen with the confused face, like, yo, okay, how is this even believable? How did this get through? How is this permissible? Like, all that, like, it's just question after question that came to my mind about this. So we can start off at episode 1. It just went in depth a little bit about, like you said, his parents, who he was, what he, what he was doing, talked about his girlfriend a little bit. And then eventually it got to the point to where he had been accused of, molesting a little child. So when it went into them talking to the first victim, the reason I say he sounded like he was coached, because when they were asking the questions, he just kept saying Greg. He kept giving his name. You know what I'm saying? As if like they wanted the child to keep making sure, make sure you say Greg. Make sure you saying Greg. Don't say anybody else's name. Make sure you're telling them Greg. And so when they were asking him questions, every time he would answer the question, he would name him, and then he would say the action that was being done. And that's why I felt like he had been coached into talking about what was being said in the interview with the child or whatever. And then, when it got to the beginning of what had been going on, the friend, like you said, we're going to get into him later, but to me, it was jealousy. The further and further all this went on, you could kind of see that it was just jealousy. He talked about how he tried to get with his girl, or he would, even when he was talking about how he would be sitting there and then, like, he'd come upstairs and then his phone would be missing. And then...
Yeah. And then he'll go looking for it. Then it's plugged up when he gets back.
And then he come back, it's plugged up. Or, you could just kind of tell, like, dude was a real jealous of Greg. You know what I mean? Like, they never talked about dude's play on the field, but I'm sure that had something to do with it too. I'm sure that he probably wasn't a better player than Greg, so he probably definitely wanted to be like Greg. He definitely wanted to be 100% like Greg. Like you said, he got the same haircut that he got. He got his facial hair trimmed up like Greg did. Like, you could tell that he wanted to be Greg. And it was just a little bit odd, man, just to hear the things that Greg was saying about the dude and the things that he was doing to him, throughout this whole situation.
And then, for people, you also got to understand the reason why there was a 4-year-old around is because the McCarthy family ran a daycare out of their house.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was even kids over there in the first place. And what was also odd was when the allegations came about, the McCarthy family was really quick to say, hey, we know this lady lawyer.
Yeah.
This type stuff. And this lady lawyer, her name is
Pamela,
Patricia Cummings.
Patricia.
So Patricia was already, which you'll find out a little later in the podcast, that this lady was appointed to be his lawyer. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
And it was a conflict of interest because, come to find out, she was their family lawyer basically. Like she has defended all of the McCarthy boys because the lady, damn, what's her name? Sama. Was it Shama?
It was Shama.
Like Shama, she, was so quick to say, hey, she could be your lawyer and all this type of stuff. And it was very disappointing, man, to see a dude who had the work ethic that he had. And it also makes me question, and I didn't think about this till a little bit ago, was did Shama see that type of behavior from her son and she wanted Greg to come? Okay, now this is just conspiracy theory Sean here. Did she want him to come there because she could potentially see something down the road? Because you remember, Greg's mom was like, Shama was like, let me do this for you so I can get my blessings. Like, and then she said it twice. Like, what kind of blessings are you trying to get? Like, what do you mean? And it made me think, like, I wonder, was this whole thing that Greg even staying with them was a setup in the first place? Because she seen that there was some potential things going on with one of her kids.
Well, see, now that you say that, that's actually pretty good because remember, like you said, the family lawyer had represented, I think it was 3 or 4 of her other children before this situation occurred. And one of those children, one of the kids that one of the sons that she represented, he was being accused of sexual assault as well. So that's, you know what I'm saying, that's actually a pretty good observation, because now that I think about it, she could have just said, like you said, let me get my blessings, and she could have pretty much just set him up. Got him over there. She knew what her son was doing. This was an opportunity to pretty much get her son off the hook. And then she wouldn't have to worry about, another son in jail or being locked up or going to trial for sexual assault again. She don't have to relive this.
Yeah, and you also got to realize that he was charged with super aggravated sexual assault. Now, with it being super aggravated to a minor, that's automatically 25 years without the possibility of parole. Yeah. So you have to be very confident when it comes to, being the DA of going for a case like this, for the simple fact, if you fuck this up and you're going off testimony of kids who just basically turned 4 years old, like, this shit could go left. Okay, so what ends up happening when he gets charged with the crime, he gets out. Now, he ended up getting expulsion from his regular school, Lander, and he ended up having to go to one of those
like a military school.
Yeah, and at this alternative school, you got to wear military gear. And that brings me to, because what ended up happening, they go to court, and I'm missing something. He got offered 2 deals by the DA. Oh, well, no, hold up. I was on the right timeline. So remember the military outfit, because that's going to be very important here in a second. So he ended up, Chief Maddox, who was the chief of police for the Cedar Park Police, he makes this announcement on TV saying that any other kids that, feel like something happened, or any other parents to come forward. And so the assistant DA under Jana Duty. Now, Jana Duty, she was appointed. She won the election to be DA, and she ran very strongly on the Michael Morton guy that I mentioned earlier, who had got accused of killing his wife in 1987. He served 25 years in prison, and he ended up getting out. Now, that was her whole campaign, was how we don't want something like that to happen again.
Yeah.
Now, that's going to be important later in the podcast as well. So one of her assistant DAs go out and find a second child because of what Maddox did, and then Maddox send in his sergeant, Chris Daly, to go in and interview a second child. So a second child came forward. Well, during the trial, the second child denies everything. So the prosecution ain't got shit. Okay, now this is where the military outfit comes in. So then all of a sudden, this gym owner named Philip Forbes, he comes in with a police escort to escort him in and out. And he goes on the stand and say that Greg told him that he served in the military, he was in the Marines, all this type of stuff. And what his whole thing was to shoot down his credibility. He just wanted to say that Greg was a liar, don't believe anything he say. Now, why would the prosecution bring in a gym owner who Greg claims, like, I ain't even really know the guy. Like, we ain't even really had no conversations. But he probably seen Greg in that uniform, probably coming from school and then coming in there to work out. And so then they ended up charging him with super aggravated sexual assault of a minor. Dude, it's funny, man. It's funny. It's real funny.
It's more than funny because first and foremost, they didn't have any other evidence. All they had was basically just a little boy that just said Greg. He didn't give a last name or anything else. He was just saying Greg. And once again, this is where I go to say coaching. It was just super convenient how when they spoke to the officer, what's his name, Daly?
Mm-hmm. Well,
in the retrial. Later on down in the retrial, when they spoke to Officer Daly, he was saying that as soon as he heard the name Greg, they just went after him. They didn't really do too much investigation. They didn't really go to the McCarty's house to see, how it was set up, how it looked, anything. They didn't really do a proper investigation. They instantly heard Greg's name, found out that Greg Kelly lived there. They said, that's our guy. We're going to use the testimony from the kids, even though the second kid was, like you said, he was coerced into basically saying that Greg did something to him, or Greg made him do something to him. And then it was just weird because when he came in and he was asking the second kid questions, they weren't open-ended questions. They were strictly A or B questions. You know what I mean? And it got to the point to where he began to ask him yes or no questions, and then he got off the yes or no questions and went straight to the A or B questions. One of the questions was like, what type of lotion did Greg make you use? You know what I'm saying? Or where did you get the lotion from? Not did you, did Greg make you put lotion on him? They didn't ask those, they didn't ask those type of questions that would be leading to real police work the real police work that they're supposed to do. And then, like, he had to go to court with a lawyer who really wasn't fucking with him. You know what I mean? Like, it seemed like she was doing her best to pretty much just get him locked up. I didn't really believe that she was, like doing anything to kind of, make sure that he was getting away free. And you know what I'm saying, like the more and more you watch it, like the more and more you kind of see that, or the more and more it gets shown that, you know, that's exactly what she was doing. She was using him as the scapegoat.
Yeah, like she was not defending him. And then she would tell him like, oh, this is fine. Because she said that the Phillips guy, the gym guy, oh man, that's nothing. That's not gonna hold any water. But actually, what it did was they went to assassinate his character and try to say that he was a liar, and you can't believe anything he say because they didn't have nothing left. And I remember they were talking to one juror, and so he said that, at first it started out, I think it was 8-4, and then he was like, then it went to 10-2, and then it went 11-1, and he was left being the last person. And what's important about that, and I mentioned this on my podcast earlier this week, was one of my favorite movies. If we're talking black and white movies, it's my greatest black and white movie is 12 Angry Men. And Richard Fonda was the one juror guy that wouldn't back down. He was like, I don't believe this person's guilty. And he was able to turn the whole room, with convincing them of doubt. That's basically what it is. It's like you put doubt in a juror's mind, then that could, help it out. And there was a lot of doubt there, but I think what happened, he said that fatigue happened. People wanted to go home, and it got to the point where everybody looking at you like, dude, we trying to go home, and you're the only one saying not guilty. And he says later that I regret not putting my foot down and trying to convince them of this. And it takes a very strong person to do that, to sit in a room with 11 angry people ready to go home, and for you to stand your ground. Like, it takes a very strong person to do that, man. And it sucks that I'm not putting fault on the dude, because it's not the dude's fault. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's more of the system and how they was coerced this whole situation. Like I'm saying, like, you could say that it's supposed that you could put some of the onus on the guy, but at the same time, I'm not gonna put all of it on him. But because like I say, a lot of people can't take it. I'm not saying that I could. Like, I would have to feel so strongly about it, and it would have to be things that I know that I could prove to be that one standing alone person. But but I'm not gonna say that it's completely that guy's fault for not flipping the whole room and getting them to, flip into not guilty.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was a very important part of the documentary as well.
I agree. So, what I'm saying, we get to all of that. He ended up getting found guilty. He get locked up, and then they bring in a retrial. And they bring it to, or they reopen the case, bring it back to a retrial. And then
hold up. Now, before you go to the retrial, because I think this is important. The one guy, Jake Bryden. So obviously, this dude comes out of nowhere. He hears about the case, and he starts rallying up these people.
Oh yeah,
to get the case reopened.
Because they were outside the courthouse saying that he was innocent.
Yeah. So this dude, if it wasn't for this Jake guy, this dude probably still be in prison today. Like, that dude was resilient, and I would love for somebody to just come out of the blue. If something ever happened to me like this, I need somebody to ride for me like this dude. He never met him. Met the kid, didn't know who this kid was, and he held protests. They stood in front of the school. They stood in front of the courthouse. So they did all of that work, and they did it for like 2.5, 3 years before. Well, like 2 years before they reopened the case. So, like you were saying, they ended up reopening the case.
Yeah, thank you for that, because I forgot all about dude, man. But what I'm saying, they bring it to retrial, and here, in the retrial, we find out that there was sufficient evidence that was missing. We find out that his lawyer pretty much fucked him over. We find out that they didn't do a proper investigation. They didn't even investigate the other guy. What's his name?
Jonathan McCarthy.
Yeah, Jonathan McCarthy. They didn't even investigate him, even though his name was brought up multiple times by one of the kids. I think it was the first kid. And so that never happened. And then when they had came to the lawyer about it and they said, well, Jonathan's name was brought up, we need to speak with Jonathan, she pretty much just brushed them off and told them, we're not going to go that way.
Yep. That's exactly what she said.
And my whole thing about all of this, man, especially after getting to this point, was what is the fucking motive? What I gotta say it again. What is the fucking motive? To me, man, that's the only thing that this doc was missing. They never gave us a proper motive as to why the lawyer, the cops, the fucking family was all linked together trying to get this dude locked up and pin this shit on him. Because I don't even think it was like an election year for the DA.
Yeah, because she already won.
That's what I'm saying. So she didn't give a fuck. She was instantly like, yeah, let's get him locked up. The assistants, they both was like, yeah, let's get him locked up. Maddox, every time they interviewed him, he was like, yeah, I'm 100% completely sure that he did it. Even after, you know what I'm saying, going on further down the line, we find out what ended up happening and everything with Greg Kelly's case. But the reopening of this trial shows you just how corrupt the justice system is. From the lack of evidence, from coerced testimony, from the, you know what I'm saying, them not doing their due diligence in an investigation. I mean, it just shows you everything. Like, if they really want you, they can get you just like that.
Yeah, and we gotta also, give it up for the second lawyer that he ended up getting, Keith Hampton. So Keith Hampton, he come in and he's very well respected. I remember when the dude said at the end, he was like, this dude need to be a part of the Avengers. He was like, if the Avengers need a lawyer, they need this guy. He was able to pull up. He found a lot of that damn evidence that we're talking about now,
especially against the lawyer.
Against the lawyer, and so they ended up. Then she ended up pulling a real bitch move, man. Patricia Cummings, man. So when it was like a day before she was supposed to take the stand, they called Hampton and she wants to use client confidentiality and say that she don't want to admit to anything that would, break that code. And so the questions that they was asking, she wasn't answering them. And it's like, if now you're supposed to be representing him to keep him out of prison. Now you have a chance to get him out of prison, but you don't want to talk about it?
Well, see, one thing that I noticed is when they first start talking to her, and this is, like you said, this just goes to how, how good Keith Hampton was. When they first got to talking to her, he knew that she was going to use the client confidentiality. He knew she was going to use that. His thing was pretty much giving in to, that way he knew that she was going to be so high up on her horse that she wasn't going to be paying attention to pretty much this trick play he was about to run on her. And so he was pretty much asking her a plethora of open-ended questions that would give vague details, but enough to be able to sway you know what I'm saying, the jury, and one of the questions that he asked her was did they bring up Jonathan's name in the police report or anything like that? And she was I think that's when she backed up to the judge and was saying that, well, if I say that, then that's going to mess up my confidentiality. And then that's when he hit her with, well, it can't be that way because they wrote it in a police report. So it's public record. So anybody could find it out. So then when she had to ask the question, not just let you know what I'm saying, like, this was gonna be the way that they were going to knock this shit out the park. You know what I'm saying? They was gonna get dude out. I mean, I felt that from the third episode. They was gonna get dude out. Only because everything that they was using, it just seemed so faulty, man. It's so unbelievable.
And then we come to find out what Keith Hampton was able to find was, so he was arrested on July the 15th, 2013.
Mm-hmm.
This dude moved out in June.
Yeah, and remember they said the action happened on the 12th.
On the 12th.
On July 12th.
They said it happened on the 12th. But they said it had to happen between either the 10th or the 12th, so they made up a date.
Yeah.
And that's what when they brought the Daily back, they asked him about that. And he just made up a date and said that it happened on the 12th when the dude moved out at the end of June. And then, dude, they had his cell phone records. He wasn't nowhere near the house anytime of those couple of days in July. Mm-hmm. So it was like all this stuff wasn't investigated. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what is the motive, really? Like you said, like the only motive I can think of when we get that to the end of the podcast, a lot of these people came up after the fact. Even with them losing, they still got to come up in the end. So the motive part, I think the only thing I can think of is he's a high-profile football player. He was just basically at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Or were actually dealing with the wrong people at the wrong time. He thought that these people was here for him. He thought that they was helping him out.
No, wait. Not baseball player, football player. You said baseball player.
Oh, my bad. Football player, like, but you think that somebody's doing you a deed.
Yeah.
And in all actuality, like they set him up because I think that if this family didn't have a problem with the law, mm-hmm. that this stuff never would have happened to him.
100%. So, I think that, you know what I'm saying, with the history of the son, you know what I'm saying, having sexual assault before, you know what I'm saying, all of this happening, I think if that was something that she would have, you know what I'm saying, and let's take her out of it because she was the lawyer, but if they would have did what they were supposed to do as a team when they was, you know what I'm saying, representing Greg, they would find out that, you know, when they heard Jonathan's name, they should have instantly went to investigate him because now they have the information that one of his older brothers does this. So this could have been something that happened to Jonathan himself. This could have been something that he's seen his older brother do and now he's doing the same thing. Like, we don't know because, you know what I'm saying, they didn't do what they were supposed to do and they didn't go investigate. One of the things that they asked, because they also brought up the Officer Daly guy, and one of the things that they asked him was about the investigation. And they said, did you go check the residence where the daycare is? He said, no. They said, well, they brought up Jonathan McCarty's name. Did you investigate or interrogate Jonathan McCarty? They say no. He said no. And then they said, well, how did you get to Greg Kelly? And he said that when they were listening to the testimony from the little boy, The only thing he said was Greg this, Greg that, Greg this. He said, not the time we knew, the only Greg that was in that house was Greg Kelly. That was our guy, and we brung him in. To me, that's like, bro, you didn't do no fucking work to find out if this is true or not.
And this is why I think something actually happened to the kid. So they asked him how many rooms did it happen in. And he said 2. And he said one of them was, he called it the couch room.
The couch room,
and then he said it was the coach's room. And the reason, and then when they took a picture of Jonathan McCarthy's room, he had a bed and a couch in there, and he had those trophies up there. So that's why the kids say the coach's room, because it was some trophies in there, and he said the couch room, and they had a couch. A lot of people don't have a couch in their bedroom.
Yep.
So with them saying Jonathan, with the kid saying a couch room and all this type of stuff, obviously something happened in Jonathan's room. They didn't investigate none of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what made me think, like, the Patricia Cummings lady, I think that behind the scenes, she was going to talk to the DA people, telling them, hey, look, we're going to zero this in on him. Also, if y'all get a conviction out of this guy, Judy, you're going to get reelected. This DA guy, you're going to be good. This DA lady, you're going to be good. Like, everybody's going to get a come up from this. But what was crazy was she would have to take the L as far as in the courtroom. She takes an L, but she's getting the win from protecting the family that, like I said in the beginning,
because eventually
it was a conflict of interest.
She's going to get a better job.
Yeah. So it's like she is protecting the McCarthy family. So she's getting a win there, but she's taking an L in the books as far as in the trial. So it's wild how that works, man. And then, like, what was very crazy to me was I think it was the 4th episode where they was talking to this lady that deal with, kids and all of this type stuff. And she said there was a study done in the 80s where they took kids in to do, and they filmed the whole thing. And they had these kids get these
they had the dolls.
Physicals. It was like these physicals. And they check their arms, their legs, they don't touch any of their private parts. So what they ended up doing was they asked the kids about it, and the kids say everything was fine. But then they showed the kids a video or something like that. And then all of a sudden these kids were saying, oh, well, he touched me here and he touched my butt and all this type of stuff. And they were just saying it like these kids can make up a story from hearing something and watching something, and it be nothing that really happened to them. So it's really hard to take a testimony from a kid, a 4-year-old kid, and say that, hey, this kid is telling you the absolute truth of what happened to them. Now, I think that this kid was coached, but I also think that he was only coached on the name and to say that he put your pee-pee in his mouth.
Yeah.
But other than that, it seemed like the kid was really going off what was happening. Like I said, he says the couch room. So some of the stuff he was saying, but some of it was in his imagination of stuff that he was, making up. So that was something else that Keith Hampton was able to, to pull up, was like that type of stuff. And look, this documentary, man, it was really crazy. And also what he had to go through, because even when they got him out, like the dude was out on bond and he had to wait for the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals to happen.
To exonerate him.
So he's out. But what can happen if they don't exonerate him, no matter how long it takes, he goes back to jail. So he had to, for 2 or 2.5 years, he had to go every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. to check a list for the fate of his life. Like because it's like, just really think about that, dude. Like every morning you have to look, and you're looking for your name. Like the thing is, you want to see your name, but you don't want to see your name and say that it's denied, because if it's denied, you got to go back to jail. So it's like, to go through that, like, yeah, it's fucked up to get locked up and you didn't do anything wrong. But it's also fucked up that you have to sit for 2 years and check a list every morning to see if you're getting to stay out or if you're going back to prison. That is fucked up, dude. And that's a fucked up way to live, to sit there on bond that long, because, see, the justice system shouldn't have to take that long to come to those type of decisions, especially with the type of evidence that they was able to come up with. And then the people not wanting to, like the DA lady, Jenna Duty, they wanted to talk to her, and she was being held for contempt. So she went to jail for 14 days because she wouldn't talk about the case. So then her backbreaker, which we're missing here in a second, was when he actually gets cleared of those charges.
Yep.
Like, it was crazy to see the lawyer do to break down the way that he broke down. Like, because it seemed that he built a relationship with him throughout that time, and to see somebody, it's hard to come across a person where you can actually look them in their face and say, look, yo, all these people had basically came together to lock you up. Yeah. Even the person that defended you in court was in on getting you locked up. Like, I don't know, dude. Like that's, I don't even know what to say. It's crazy.
Yeah, this shit was wild, man. Like, for them to, the only evidence that they had was testimony from 2 kids. And they used that to literally go through the whole trial. And then when we like I said, when we go to the retrial, we find out that a huge piece of evidence was left out, was the fact that the guy had on SpongeBob SquarePants pajamas. We also leave out the fact that his name was brought up more than once. And so now this is when I start thinking, I'm like, okay, well, now I got to be Jonathan McCarty, because they're talking about the SpongeBob pajamas, and he instantly denies the fact that he had SpongeBob pajamas. When they went to go ask Greg, Greg was like, yeah, he had SpongeBob pajamas. We shared them every now and then, but you could tell the difference, between who's wearing them, because if I'm wearing them, they're too short on me. When he wears them, they pretty much too baggy. And so, when they go ask the Jonathan McCarty kid, he instantly denies it. He acts like he never seen a pair of, he don't own SpongeBob boxers or pajamas. He pretty much is just like, it's all Greg. Greg had them on. Every now and then I would wear something that Greg has, but I never wore his SpongeBob pajamas. And then that's when I instantly knew, like, yeah, this dude did it.
Yeah. And then also, Jonathan McCarthy was locked up. The reason they was even able to question him was because he was accused of raping a girl, and they brought the girl
15-year-old. Yeah, 15-year-old.
And so she's like thinking, and I don't blame her for 1 second for not thinking this. If they would have done the investigation right, she never would have got raped, because Jonathan would have been locked up.
Yep.
So,
and it was more than just her.
Yeah. So you have to really think about the heartlessness that it is to sit here and lock up an innocent person and leave a person that really has an issue, really have a problem, and you leave this person out on the street, and then he rapes a girl. Now, let's not forget about the Texas Ranger, Cody Mitchell. Now,
Mm-hmm.
Cody Mitchell came in there, and it seemed like he was for him in the beginning. And then he threw a twist in there. And then one thing that fucked him up, man, and I'm not going to leave this out. I'm going to say this, but I got my own explanation of what I think it is. So, Mitchell did a lie detector test on him, Greg Kelly, and he passed every question but one. And it was like, what was that one question? He was like, basically, have you ever put, your penis in a minor's mouth type thing?
Yeah.
This is my explanation for that. His girlfriend was a minor, technically. But then, let's say he got some head from her and she was 17, 16, whatever. And he got some head from his girl. Technically, because he probably answered the question no.
Yeah.
But technically,
she
is a minor.
And also, speaking of the polygraph, like, don't forget the question that he asked. The last question that he asked was, "Are you answering all of these questions truthfully?" And he passed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means
that
he answered all the questions correctly. He passed them. They used that specific question and they harped on that question. And they lied, and I think they lied to him and told him that that's the one he didn't pass.
Yeah. So that dude, and then it's like when and then what helped him was when the second DA dude came in, Sean Dick. When he came in, he was very involved in getting movement on this case. And if Sean Dick never would have came in, he probably still would be locked up to this day. Because he was able to open up a lot of stuff that's just like the other DA dude. Like when the Michael Morton dude got locked up, the DA was Ken Anderson, and then John Bradley came in, and John Bradley was holding off on doing the DNA. And so the dude spent a couple more years in prison before he did the DNA. Sean Dick stepped in, and he was very motivated on, let's handle this now. Let's not wait. Let's do this now. Yeah. And when he was out, the Cody Mitchell dude, because he said on the stand that he didn't believe that he did it, but he was like, he has two suspects and he can't say who those two suspects are. And then
he gave him the two suspects. He couldn't talk about the third one.
Oh yeah, he couldn't talk about the third one, and because the third one was actually Greg.
Yep.
And
Greg was the first one that he talked about, and then Jonathan was the second one he talked about, and then the third one they never mentioned.
Oh yeah, that is right. That is right. But like, what was shocking to me was because they said the day that he got released. He got released on bond, and they said what was weird was there was a dude out in the truck, and it was Cody Mitchell. Yeah. And they actually got him on camera saying it's a great day. Mm-hmm. But after that, they can't find the dude. Dude is nowhere to be seen. He won't answer any of their phone calls, which I thought was weird because it was like, it seemed like he was motivated on getting them out, but then he just ghosted everybody. I still don't, that's the mystery to me. Like, we don't know why he ghosted them towards the end. Like, I don't know if he got payment. Like,
I think that's because they finally found out what his real motives was. You know what I'm saying? Like, once they found out what his real motives was, they was gonna ask him some things that he was gonna end up exposing himself.
Yeah, this is true. And what was sad to me, man, was the end. Like, okay, it was great. He saw his name on the list. He was cleared of all the charges. He was in New York at the time because his girl, she was going to some school or something like that. And
he got engaged.
He married her after he was cleared of the charges. You're hearing all the great stuff about it. But then you hear the bullshit. Like with every story, every good story, there's always bullshit to go along with it. Mm-hmm. And it was, he went to a town meeting the second time. They went one time and then he went the second time. And his mom spoke. She gave a great speech and all this type of stuff. And they were saying that Maddox needs to be fired from being the chief of Cedar Park Police. Mm-hmm. So at the end, they didn't do anything to Maddox. Actually, he ended up, now he is the chief of Burnett County. Sergeant Chris Daly, the dude that they figured out, didn't do no investigation. He didn't do any of his job right. And then he becomes the leader of, he was promoted to head of dudes of some kind of investigation team. I can't remember what it is. Now, this dude didn't do any investigation, but he ends up getting the job of being head of that. Then Patricia Cummins, the lawyer lady, now she is the head of conviction intelligence in Philadelphia. Then the Judy Daly duty lady, she, like I said, she got arrested for contempt, and then once dude got cleared, this lady committed suicide. So obviously she couldn't handle that type of stuff of what ended up happening to her. And the biggest one of all, the dude that the assistant DA mm-hmm. that brought the second kid along because he said that this could help the case, this dude gets sworn in as a fucking judge.
Yeah.
Like,
so that's what I'm saying, man. This is for me. I feel like a story of corruption, a story of injustice, and a story of now exposure, because now we kind of see just exactly what these people do. You know what I'm saying? When they want you, they can get you, and it's no issue. You know what I'm saying? I think that that's one of the things that, you know what I'm saying, Keith was saying, is that he said he couldn't see, you know what I'm saying, living somewhere where if the police want you, no matter what you did, that they can somehow get you, and you'll be locked up forever if they really wanted it like that.
Yep. And like that was the sad part for me. And like, it's still an open investigation now. Like I said, Jonathan, he's locked up for the rape of the one girl, and she was in this documentary. And now he didn't get a ton of time for it.
Yeah,
I think he's probably out by the I think he's still locked up. No, he's out.
Because he only did like 3 or 4 years or something like that.
Yeah, like he didn't do long.
They gave him they brought down the charge or something like that. Because that's
they gave him a deal.
Yeah, Greg was saying like, and that's I get 25 years and he only get 3 to 4. You know what I'm saying? That's
crazy. And Sean Dick was actually there to give him that deal, and he was like, "Look, man, the justice system is like that." He was like, mm-hmm. He did all he could to get Greg Kelly off, but then, he still got to be a DA and offer a deal to someone who actually he feels did the crime that Kelly did, but he's not on trial for that. He's on trial for raping a 15-year-old. So, he had to do what he had to do, but that's the justice system, man. It's crazy. But I'm glad we was able to do those. Like I say, we didn't touch everything, but those were the biggest.
Yeah, those are the major parts of the story, man. Yeah. It's 5 episodes long. Each episode is an hour. It's available on Showtime. It don't come on Showtime every time, but you can definitely go to Showtime on demand and watch it. But you know what I'm saying, you pretty much be the judge, man, and watch it and see if you either agree with us or you think that Greg is guilty.
Yeah. And I think that the way I'm gonna do my Fire Flame is in the realm of, I'm gonna judge it in the realm of documentaries.
Okay.
You know, as far as like stuff that I would put it in the realm of like stuff like, I can't even really say the 13th, because that was a different kind of documentary. I think the only thing that I can really add it with is Made in America, the OJ doc that was on ESPN.
Yep.
And I thought that was one of those type of documentaries, that was one of the best I've seen. I know we're not doing it right now, but if I was doing that one, I would give that a 5. 5
Okay.
Flame. That thing was great. It was awesome. It was very informative. If I'm comparing it to that, I would say with the information that was given, I'm shit, man. Honestly, man, I would give it a 4.5, for the simple fact of it had, like, the timeline is crazy. Like, it's like they knew this was something in the very beginning, because they got interviews from everybody back in, because this happened in 2013. It's like they got interviews from 2013 all the way up to 2019. Like, they followed this dude all this time because they knew that it was fucked up. Yeah. So to have that much information and to string a documentary out for that many years, you know, that's I would give it a 4.5. And the only reason to give it a 4.5 is because I'm judging it against Made in America. And another thing that gives Made in America that knock, even though both of these is involved in football, but that the OJ factor of it, OJ was just a crazy ass creature. But I'll get that a 5. But I'm gonna get us a 4.5, man. I would suggest anybody to go. I think people, especially men, should watch this just to see how fucked up the system is, because the system is really, really fucked up. It sucks to take a real situation for entertainment, but I would say that you could watch it for entertainment, but also I would say you really need to watch it for the information to see how people get set up by the system. So I would give it a 4.5.
I'm gonna go ahead, man. I'm going to agree with you 100%, man. 4.5 is 4.5 is definitely where I was gonna put it, only because that it's so captivating. You know what I'm saying? The story itself deserves a 5 out of 5, but you know what I'm saying, with them putting everything together and doing everything that they did, I'm gonna go ahead and stick to a 4.5. The story though, man, is nuts. You know what I'm saying? It hits you on a different level, especially if you're going through something like this before, being falsely accused of something. You know, you kind of see that he never had a chance to really prove himself. And, you know, them making stuff up with the second child, giving him the A and B interrogation tactic. And then, you know, the missing evidence with the SpongeBob pants, you know what I'm saying? The lack of investigation with not going to talk to Jonathan. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's just wild because you get to see it actually happening and in the process that it happens in. And so, you know what I'm saying, with that being said, I thought that the story was great. It ended, you know what I'm saying, it ended real good. You know what I'm saying? It's good to see that everything kind of worked out for him in the end. And yeah, man, that's it, man. 4.5. 4.5 Fire Flames, bro.
Yes, sir, man. It was good, man. I'm glad I came across it, man.
I'm glad you did too, because you got me on that one.
Yeah, man, that was a good one, man. That was a good one. It kind of took over the one that we planned on talking about.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, that would have been, you know what? I'll hold that information for another time. But yeah, man, it was really good, man. But like I said, the last podcast, man, I put out was the Boycott Boys on the Stolen Time podcast. That was episode 175. Go check that out. That was about the boycott, because we did it on the day that stuff happened. So that was one of those podcasts you got to realize it was done on Wednesday, because the NBA resumed back today. Today's Saturday, the 30th. So the NBA started back, but this was when everything was coming down. So we talked about that and the Jacob Brown Blake shooting, and Kyle Rittenhouse, all that type of stuff. Also put out a 28 minutes or less that was about the Umbrella Academy. So go check that out on 28 minutes or less page. That has its own page now. It's on all major platforms. I found it. Radio Republic took them forever to scoop it up. So it's finally on there now. So that's on all major platforms, man. Go follow the Stolen Time Pod page on Instagram and s.foster8 on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the Stolen Time podcast page on Facebook. Yeah. So that's all my plugs, man.
Man, follow me on Twitter at Scoots Bronson, on Instagram at Scoots Bronson _TV. Follow me on YouTube at Scoots Bronson TV. You can also follow my Facebook page, Scoots Bronson Media. And you can check the Already Home podcast out on all streaming platforms. We just did an episode today. It'll be out sometime tomorrow. And then check me out on YouTube, Periscope, or Facebook with the Isolated Society call-in show, man. Shout out to my guy S. Dot, man. He called in, first caller this week, and we talked about what did we get into? We got into Jacob Blake, didn't we?
Yeah, man. We got.
Yeah, we was
we
talking
got into
about
some shit.
Yeah, we was talking about how, man, you know what I'm saying, we getting sick and tired of trying to convince people of the right thing, man. But you can go back and check that. You can go back and check the stream out either on Facebook, on Periscope, or on. I don't think I had it on YouTube this week, but it'll be up on YouTube next week for sure. So yeah, that's all I got, man.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate everybody for clicking in. Yeah, man. Obviously, we're trying to do this more consistently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But with schedules being the way it are, and us having so many damn podcasts.
Yeah, man. And then on top of that, we gotta make sure we finding good movies to, you know what I'm saying, and TV shows to cover too. So we don't want to just be giving y'all anything.
Yeah, but also at the same time, I'll go ahead and mention this. I will say this. I'm not going to string it out, but I didn't think Project Power was that good. I thought it was cool.
At second watch, I'm gonna have to agree with you. At second watch, I will have to agree with you. It wasn't as good as you know what I'm saying, as I made it seem. Only reason I say that it was good because the young lady who played the main character, man, I thought that she did a heck of a job in her role. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know she was 28.
She is?
Yeah, she older than him. She not a teenager.
I thought she was like 18.
That's what I'm saying. So, you know what I'm saying? She played the hell out of her role, man. And then not only that, you know what I'm saying, I thought that Jamie Foxx did a great job. You know what I'm saying? We ain't really seen him in nothing in a long time, but he did a hell of a job. And then Joseph Gordon-Levitt, man, he always, you know what I'm saying, he always pulls it out. And then, with those three doing everything that they did, I mean, They made it seem like it was a much better movie than it was. But going back and rewatching it, yeah, it wasn't that good.
I think it was the story, and the reason I bring it is because we said before that we're gonna have to do a movie that we both don't think is that good, or it was, put up on a pedestal, and then it wasn't as great as we thought it was gonna be. That's why I brought it up, but. Yeah, we still want to give you the movies that are good, but at some point you're gonna get a movie that it's something that we can disagree on. Be like, hey, I thought it was trash, you thought it was good. So eventually we're gonna get to one of those type of movies. But yeah, we're gonna try to start pumping this out more consistently.
For sure, man.
But I also think that you should be careful. But you also shouldn't rush it because look, Outcry came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I was just looking for something to pass time while my girl was doing hair and came across this, and then I watched all 5 episodes in one day. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that ended up happening. But I'm glad it ended up happening that way.
Yeah, me too, man. Cause that was dope.
All right, Brody, man. Well, I'm about to say the number. I don't even know. Because all my podcasts got numbers.
Yeah, I think this is number. I think this is number 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there, 6 or 7. We don't really number these bitches. Just check it out.
Yeah, but I think I want to say 6.
Sounds about right. About right. And I could be thinking 7 because we lost one, and we actually talked about it.
Yeah,
Bad Boys for Life.
Bad Boys for Life, yeah.
Yeah,
man.
So man,
that's a wrap, man.
Big.
Yeah,
that's a wrap, man.
Like they say in the movie industry, man, cut.
Cut.
Yeah. All right, man. We out of here, y'all.
Peace.